Join us
for our weekly
Table Talk.
and welcome to Logos Laura, Newlyweds segment, and introducing you to the first time our table talk hosted by your host Logos Laura, and we have Logos Rhonda filming, who is doing the segment on Newlyweds, and we have Logos Lisa joining us with our marriage segment, couples, and relationship. This is a very significant afternoon as we launch for the first time our table talk on marriage, relationship, and relationship. The cutting of the ribbon signifies old and welcome the new. Newlyweds, married couples, those getting into relationship. This segment is tailored with you in mind. Thank you as we celebrate the newness. Hi everyone, and welcome to our new segment, Table Talk with Logos Rhonda and our guest this evening, Logos Lisa. And we have a very interesting topic today, and we hope that this topic will trigger some questions and answers. The topic this evening is table talk, back to purity in the marriage bed for newlyweds and long-standing couples. And we would start by simply asking the question, what is a marriage? So there's no wrong and right answer, but what is a marriage for discussion this evening? So Logos, Rhonda, we'll start you off with asking, what is a marriage? You have been married for how many years, Logos, Rhonda?
I have been married for about 28 years now. I've been together before. My oldest son is first child, 36 years. So what is a marriage? A marriage is like an arrangement of male and female. After meeting each other, they decided, well, they will do the right thing, which is a covenant of God, to be married. And we prepare for that marriage, and then as we get together, we start to live together, we find that we come together to make it work. And that is my understanding of a marriage, because after we come together, we have to go through the ups and downs and the differences of which life has to offer. It could be good, it could be bad, it could be better for worse, as I say. So in my marriage, I know I have been through good, bad, and still is, and I know it is for the good of each other.
Thank you, Logos Rhonda. So we keep hearing marriage has good, bad, indifference. Sometimes for the newlyweds or those who are expecting to be married, hearing that, might want them to probably shun away from marriage or say, well, I'm not going to be married, I'm just going to probably live together. So what would you say, or how will you break down that for someone who wants to get married and they want to know, well, what is it meant by it's good, bad, or indifference? Yeah.
What I will say for the newlyweds, before I always say, had I known better, I would have taken my marriage to a different angle. But to newlyweds, what I will say before getting into that covenant with God, it is good to have proper counsel
Also,
I would say have proper counsel, get the right direction, because you the both persons will know if that they must agree together
And-
that they want to have the marriage, and it is a covenant unto God.
so that's the agreement.
That is the agreement. They must make that agreement first, and then I think with proper counsel and direction, it is going to help for the newlyweds.
Good. So what you're saying there in terms of answering the question that you just answered about marriage, it's an agreement made with two individuals.
Yes.
And then it's more than an agreement because you mentioned the word covenant.
Yes.
So it seems to be a little higher because when you use the word covenant, then that's where God comes in. So that making that covenant. So a marriage in a nutshell is an agreement because two must agree in order to
Yes.
walk together.
Together.
And then it's a covenant because they both go into that marriage, into that covenant, to seal that marriage and make that marriage into what it is. Right? And you use the word angles. It is interesting that you use the word angles. You said, you would have gone a different angle. Can you just elaborate on that? Because in light of when people get married or before they get married, they always have this perfect picture of what they think is and should be. And sometimes the reality then is actually living. And then you realize that picture that you had before, or that castle that you have, or that, I don't want to say fairy tale, right? Because dreams do come true. But we're looking at making the contrast from that vision you have and that story you were told by your grandmother and your reality, which is what is happening in today's society. It's totally different. So how would you bridge those two things in terms of angle and in terms of that coming together with that information before and after? Reality checks.
Yeah. When I decided that my husband and I decided that we were getting married, we look at other things before counseling. We look at how we want to get this wedding, how big we want this wedding. We want to wear a dress. We start to think of planning the wedding before getting the counseling.
Right.
And what will happen? What I remember happened with my marriage would have even before the marriage. You see the ups and downs, But you tell yourself you want to marry. It was like for a show. It was more like for a show to get married, to say we together long enough. Let me get married. But what I am thinking from that angle, had I known better, I would have sought proper counsel first. Because what that would have led us to, would have led us into the understanding that marriage, as I said before, is a covenant unto God. So when you get that counsel, we now would have want to check what the word say concerning marriage, what the word say of getting that covenant under God, so it would have been directed as to how we should go about our marriage. Our marriage is not just to have a good time. You understand? Our marriage is considering it is holy under God, and we are supposed to go with what the word say concerning marriage. And had we gone that way, yes, we are still a couple and we're still striving together to make our marriage last and be better, even up to this day after 28 years. But at the end of the day, had we known better, it would have taken us into a more positive way. We would have been able to agree with each other better. It would have been less haste. This is what I am thinking. And we would have come to an understanding that nobody could have come between and break it.
I mean, it's like agree to disagree at certain points.
That's right.
Right. So, Logos Lisa, what is purity? And tell us what is purity in a marriage. That is part of the topic for this evening. Yeah.
Well, purity is the pureness and the cleanliness of heart, mind, and soul, unblemished. And purity in marriage is saving yourself and saving your virginity for that person you trust and love. It's also about chastity. Chastity is refraining from sexual intercourse until marriage. So, yes, purity is a must in marriage. I believe so. Hoping that one can refrain from sexual intercourse until such time.
Wow. And
Wow.
that is how God set up marriages and preparation for marriage. And we could go to Mary in the Bible. She's the Virgin Mary, and she did not know her husband until that after the fulfillment of the Messiah and the Christ.
Oh yes.
So is it possible, Logos Rhonda and also Logos Lisa, is it possible in today's world where we say it's modern and those things are traditional and old, is it possible that people could still live pure before marriage?
Yes, it is possible to live pure. It is possible that you can live pure before marriage, because actually, another meaning of purity is freedom from adultery and contamination. So you don't want to get yourself to be adultery in adultery, and then after you get yourself contaminated. So you keep yourself until that time of marriage, and when you do that, it brings in that purity. It brings in more love. It brings in more joy, more happiness into the marriage.
That's true.
So it's
'Cause
better to keep that purity
that's true.
within the marriage.
That's true, Logos Runner, because the word purity in itself means that one must remain pure
Pure.
for that covenant that God set up in the marriage to work. And we can take it from another angle in that keeping it pure is also keeping things from coming into the marriage bed or the marriage house. Because we can take it from the angle where there is like adultery in a marriage, where the children of the marriage sometimes suffer because they have to share that parent, right? They end up losing out because that income of that home may not be able to sustain both homes. So somebody's going to suffer. And also to where the comfort's supposed to be for that spouse, each other, whichever is the one, and the children, it is shared. So everything is shared, right? Can you just add some any one of you could
and
share
what I
anything on
believe
that?
it is, when you say it's freedom from contamination, when you hear you keep that purity within the marriage, you the children of themselves, when they have to share, they end up being contaminated. Contaminated how? Because they have to share. It might be how they call it, a stepmother or a stepfather. There's lack of respect. They feel like if they're not being loved, they feel that they are being whether it be mother or father, they feel like if they are being cheated of their real mother or their real father, they feel like if nobody loves them. The whole idea is that they just feel like if something is missing. So that contamination goes even when among dealing with stepsisters and stepbrothers, you find when time to share things. Some people go through the system of when you hear things that to be shared, you find the mother of the child, the biological mother of the child, treat their children much better than the child that comes in because of a marriage that was caused by adultery. And that is what normally will take place. So contamination comes into the marriage when purity steps out.
And purity steps out. I like how she puts that. Logos Lisa, in terms of purity, is there anything else you would like to enlighten us on? Yeah, enlighten us.
Know your status.
Know your status. I
You
like
must
that.
know our status. You know?
Know your status.
I believe that, I remember I had a short story from a former nurse, and she told me that, her father said, you're not going to marry my daughter until I know your status. So you don't just jump into marriage just like that. I will know your status, you will know my status, and so we head from there, because we know these things, STDs are out there, and it's very serious. It's a very serious thing.
So we're gonna hold that point as we're gonna come back after this segment here.
Ship ahoy! Here we come, Logos on the road with the word, coming to your location with public interaction. Logos Laura, my co-host, she is on the ready with the word. In support of Logos Word News, visit our YouTube channel, Facebook and Instagram. We have a compact program for the heavenly throne. God shared his only begotten Son for us to receive deliverance. Ship ahoy! Logos, my co-host. She is trending, blending, and revealing spiritual truths. Wake up in the morning with Logos, starting this week every Wednesdays and Fridays, 5 a.m. live stream. Dream, dream, dream. You know what I mean. Stay 1 hour with Logos Laura to go live on Facebook, Instagram, and ad for advertising for this forum and segmentation. How to wake up. Clementi is for me. Stay tuned for more.
Welcome back to Table Talk. And we're going to go right back to that question that we asked Logos Lisa to hold, right? And she mentioned a very nice point about status. Today, everything is about status, right? And I think she should elaborate more on that for our audience. Know your status. Is that what you said, Logos Lisa?
Yes, I did.
Yes, can you share with us in light of that?
No one wants to enter into marriage or any relationship for that matter going blindly, you know. I believe if it is that you trust your spouse and I trust my spouse, it shouldn't take nothing to go by the health center or any place there to know your status, and that it take about 10 to 20 minutes just to know it right then and there. And when you come out of there, you're good. Each spouse and each person know what they're about, and they can move on from there.
Right.
You know,
That's wonderful.
we are not thinking about having commit adultery or fornication, anything for that matter. We just want to be as one, unionized. You know, that's what we want.
And I like that point because what Logos Lisa, has shared with us is very interesting, because she's saying you're going to get married, and it's like what Logos Rwanda was saying, the angles, right? Prepare before marriage. The counsel comes before the marriage, right? So the counsel is really to prepare you because it's something new you're entering into. Mm-hmm. So it's just like you bought a game, a new set, something that you bought, appliance. You want to read all the directions before you blow up because they may say, don't plug it in this type of circuits. So you want to be able to know what it is you're getting into. And what she's actually saying to us again is that you can't go into a relationship blind because of love. Just I love and I just go in, and then you find out, wow, I didn't know this. Wow, he had a wife before. Wow, we didn't know these things. So these are things that couples should be honest enough. So the purity needs to start before actually the physical aspect of purity. Mm-hmm. The purity is actually being honest before entering. Who wants to enter into an agreement and all the terms and the condition is hidden?
Yes.
So what would you say to for a relationship that after you've entered into the covenant of marriage, you're now finding out things that you should have known before? As she mentioned, there could be STDs, there could be, things that you really need to know that will show up after, that you should know, and that will make you make an informed decision, or it can make you fix things or put things in place before. So, any one of you want to share some more on that or touch on that? Knowing the purity before the actual purity. Yes.
Purity, in plain talk, is being clean, being open with each other. So when you hear something like that happen, and after the marriage, you come to now tell me, girl, I did. Oh, girl, I have, that tends to break down trust. So that cleanliness starts to step in, because she going to start, I of myself thinking all different sorts of things.
Oh.
Should I known before? It gave me enough time with a conscious decision to say, here what? This marriage could happen, or how are we going to work it out?
Wonderful.
And what a lot of young couples, I could say, or newlyweds, they don't have to be young. When you hear they don't come pure from the beginning, what end up happening is that the marriage happens Sunday, for second Sunday the marriage ended. That is as close, sometimes even the few days before, when it sometimes whoever is at fault, whether it be male or female, now coming to tell you and make a story is not a story anymore. It's reality. And if they don't have time to take time and think it out and decide which way they want to go, the marriage end by time the second Sunday. So what it is to be done, begin at the beginning. Begin at the beginning. Let the purity start first. Let the purity start come in the marriage with the purity.
That's right.
So what will end up taking place is that you find that it is easier for you all to relate to each other circumstances that could have happened from before and make a conscious decision as how to of the way to go forward.
Right. Thank
So
you.
this is how I think.
I have a question for Lois Lisa. So Lois Lisa, if a newlywed is but they're going to get married, so today is the actual wedding day, and that groom or that bride in their mind before they actually say I do, having second thoughts, like it's not nervousness, they have second thoughts. What do you think should be done there? Because the food is already prepared, the guest is there. What do you think that, sharing with us what you think in that aspect? Go through with it and then figure it out afterwards, or actual moments? What do you think in that aspect should happen?
First of all, she for her to have second thoughts is something going on in the head there. And if honestly, you don't want to go through that marriage, don't go through. Regardless of how many people attend the wedding, regardless how much food is there, because you see, you'll be leading that person into not trusting it. It will cause too much of calamity. And we don't want that. It's better you free yourself from it. I mean, it might be hurtful in the beginning, but better you stop right there than to go through years of marriage and you're not happy. You're not happy, and there's so much miscommunication, too much of nonsense going on there. Stop while you're ahead, so that avoid each other being hurt later on the line in a longer state, So I would tell that person, if she or he has second thoughts, and it's really not about jinx and feeling scared or whatever, search yourself diligently. And if it is really and truly can't come with a proper answer, get out of there. Apologize to whoever is there attending the wedding and get out of there. It don't make any sense. It don't make any sense. Which means something somewhere had a miscommunication and it wasn't working out. It just something wasn't happening there. Yeah.
And I want to add to that. What I want to say about that is the show. Forget the show. Forget the food.
Yes.
Forget all the dress.
Yes.
Forget the show, because down the line, it is still left up to the couple what it is. Could have been corrected had they just gone through that with that doubt. Once a year you have a feeling and doubt in your mind, something is not right. And when it is really not the way to go, you don't feel good in your conscience. So don't let pride make you feel
Or the food, or
the
money spent.
Or the money spent.
What about daddy spent all his life savings for that wedding?
Daddy will can't
Daddy,
understand
thank
them.
you,
But daddy,
I need
sorry.
to
Something needs to be corrected.
Yes.
All right. So do the right thing. Don't go through it. I will say don't go through
You're
it.
going to regret it.
Yes.
Wonderful. I have one other question, because we're speaking about purity, newlyweds. So this is a common thing in some culture. Someone got pregnant, and because of the pregnancy, they are forced to marry. She's pregnant, you got to marry. You got to do the honorable thing. What is something you can share about that? Because there are people who go through that. They don't love the person, or maybe they was a mistake or one night. I don't know what it was, but there are scenarios like that, and then they are being forced to make a decision based on that one night stand or that one night. So what it is, what is some counsel or some word that you can help that person if they don't really want to, but then the parents say no, you have to do this because it's going to take shame out of our eyes. It's going to help, our name, save our name.
Yeah. To take the shame, but then again, it's better to take the blame, and it will have no shame, because when that go that way, what will end up happening is that I have known couples who, because of pregnancy, And when they look, sometimes they end up in an abusive marriage. When they look, adultery taking place and they can't say nothing. When they look, mental health stepped in. Because one child, two child, three child, or three, same child, but the children we mean. And when you look, it's because that person has never took time to understand what it is to be under this covenant of marriage, and they end up in a situation because of shame of the family because of having a baby. And when that baby come, that baby still is not to be blamed because that baby is innocent into the womb. So at the end of the day, that is something that should not be, because you have to look at the repercussion of what will take place afterwards. Sometimes it do go well, and sometimes again, and most of the time, it don't go the way it ought to. So that is my take on that.
That have a downside and an upside in that. I have known persons who have married because the female became pregnant for their son, and in those days they have to marry to keep under the covenant because they want each other to be in marriage, be in wedlock. Child born in wedlock. That's how they know it to be. Right? Sometimes they may not love the person, but sometimes going along in the marriage, you end up falling in love with the person because the person may have, sincere ways, nice ways, and end up, getting to love the person. The downside of that, as she previously said, is that sometimes the person don't really love it, they just have to get pregnant because, by the way, and sometimes the person too, treats her really, harsh, but I say, you have to know something about the person. You just can't. I mean, even if it's for a short time, even for a long time, you must know the person to have a certain thing to understand. Because you just want to marry, and just don't want to not marry. You must know the person if you should. Because I mean, it's at the end of the day, the child is studying because they don't want with your happiness, the child happiness. So as I said, it's upside and downside in it.
They mean like what they mean to say is that they would tend to make you feel like that child out of wedlock is a sin. That is how I remember it being told to us. Child out of wedlock is a sin. So they're trying to correct that sin, but you can't correct that sin. Sin is sin.
That's right.
Sin is sin.
Yes.
So what you need to do is to give them time to get to know each other. And within them time, you have yourself, whether it be male or female, will see the difference. And as you said, Lisa, they will be able to come together. They might be able to love each other. They might, and it happens that they end up being a beautiful couple.
Well, as you all speak, it reminds me of arranged marriages.
Yes.
You're not even seeing the bride or the groom before, and we know that those because of probably the principle behind it or the foundation set behind it, it works. Somehow or the other, it works in many couples, many relationships, the arranged marriages. Well, that was the traditional types. There are some cultures that still practice arranged marriages, and they make it work. They make it work for whatever,
But sometimes they make it work, but they make it work and they're not happy.
Not happy.
They make it work, and only because it's such a tradition. And when you hear these stories and the background, it brings in a lot of fornication and adultery. Yeah, because in the background, who going out, but they only have it together because of tradition. And I don't think a marriage should be, that is because of a tradition, but I don't think it should be like that because it should be love. It should be under love. Based on love. Yes.
So we want to say, due to our time right now, we want to just thank our listening audience for viewing our first segment of Table Talk with Marriage, Newlyweds, and Purity in the Marriage was the topic for today. We want to thank our guests today. We want to thank Logos, Rhonda, and we want to thank Lisa for joining us this evening and sharing with us in our Table Talk. As with the points that we started off with, and Logos Rhonda in just a couple seconds, just cement for us the part you said with counseling before the marriage is important. Can you just say something that for our audience relating to that?
Counseling is very important before the marriage. Before you make that decision, before you make plan the date, seek proper counseling. There are places you can go for counseling. You may be able to go to your minister for counseling. Go to God first of all for counseling. And always seek counsel first before planning your wedding.
Thank you, Logos Rhonda and Logos Lisa. You highlighted some things about purity. Can you share that with us again before we close off this segment?
Well, I would like those who thinking to get into marriage, and who still has their virginity, stay pure, stay clean, trust the process. Trust the process. Go to God first and foremost for everything and anything right now, and and know your status.
That's right.
Know your status. Yes. So thank you. I am Logos Laura.
And I am Logos Rhonda.
And I am Logos Lisa.
And this is our table talk for you today.